Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. The details of that Trump attack on a Venezuelan boat are getting uglier and more disturbing by the day. When the story began, there was this.
You're looking at video shared by President Trump that his administration says shows the military striking a boat from Venezuela allegedly carrying drugs. The president says 11 were killed in the attack.
Now, several news organizations, including the New York Times, are reporting boats suspected of smuggling drugs are said to have turned before U.S. attacked it. Quote, a Venezuelan boat that the U.S. military destroyed in the Caribbean last week had altered its course and appeared to have turned around before the attack started because the people on board had apparently spotted a military aircraft stalking it, according to American officials familiar with the matter. The military repeatedly hit the vessel before it sank, the officials added, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive matter. 11 human beings, perhaps criminals, perhaps not, turned their boat around and attempted to retreat. They were leaving, but the United States, under the ghoulish hand of Donald Trump, slaughtered them anyway. Not just with one airstrike, as the Trump video showed, but with several airstrikes. Even in the murkiest waters of international conflict, there is no doctrine that allows shooting fleeing people in the back because you imagine or suspect they might have been up to no good. But apparently this is what law and order looks like now under Donald Trump. Not a courtroom, not due process, not even a warning shot, but a missile, a drone, smoldering corpses in salt water, and him.
We just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat.
Even before the revelation about the boat's retreat, the attack was controversial.
This outboard boat was 2,700 miles. How do we know it was coming to the U.S.? So they may be selling drugs in Trinidad.
We are the end destination point for whatever percentage of drugs coming out of Central and South America.
Maybe. You don't think anybody in the Caribbean's using drugs? What if they're selling the drugs in Trinidad? Are we now the police for Trinidad?
Well, speaking of, there are now multiple reports that this boat was headed to Trinidad, not the United States. There are also questions as to whether the people on the boat were drug smugglers. Usually, drug traffickers and smugglers want as much room as possible on boats, trucks, and planes for drugs. 11 people takes up space.
Realize that off of Miami, a dozen ships will be interdicted today. They will be stopped, boarded, and searched. Some of them will have drugs, some of them won't. The reason we board them before we blow the crap out of them is some of them don't have drugs. Think about it this way, and this is how people don't quite get this. Let's say there's a house in your neighborhood and they're all selling fentanyl and thousands of people are died and you're just so mad. Do you go over there and just kill them or burn them? No, you go to a judge and you get a warrant and you do that.
But
we
Senator,
have an interdiction program.
I feel like the difference there is you're talking about an American citizen on an American soil. And of
No,
course,
we're talking
analogy,
about ships off of Miami. We're talking about people speeding along off of Miami. Are we going to just simply blow them up?
The Trump administration, including the president, the vice president, and the secretary of defense, keep arguing publicly that this is war and that the drug traffickers need to be treated as enemy combatants.
So we've got assets in the air, assets in the water, assets on ships, because this is a deadly serious mission for us. And it won't stop with just this strike. Anyone else trafficking in those waters who we know is a designated narco-terrorist will face the same fate. And it's important for the American people to protect our homeland and protect our hemisphere.
But if our homeland and our hemisphere are under assault, the administration should go to Congress and get a declaration of war. Have Congress vote to approve military attacks like this. Make the argument that the drug traffickers are literally poisoning tens of thousands of Americans every year. But the Trump administration officials will only make that argument on television and on conservative cable news. There has been no lobbying of Congress for military approval. There have been no hearings, no testimony, no following the Constitution, just killing people on a boat that had turned around in retreat.
Either it was an act of war, and if it's an act of war, it was never declared by Congress, and only Congress has the power to declare war. Or it was law enforcement. But if it's law enforcement, people have a right to be arrested and to have due process and to have a trial before they're executed. So I would say that was an action that was lawless and contrary to our Constitution, because it did not follow a declaration of war by Congress, and it did not conform to any of the requirements that we have for criminal prosecution.
With all due respect to Congressman Raskin, I'm going to be more blunt. This was not a criminal prosecution. It was not a war. This was a political snuff film, a massacre designed to look tough on drugs and play well with the bomb-them-all MAGA crowd who see every brown man in a boat as a threat to our republic. What kind of country drops bombs on people who are fleeing? What kind of government, civilized, democratic, even minimally sane, declares itself at war with an outboard motorboat 2,700 miles from the United States and then opens fire even as the boat turns tail? What's next? Airstrikes on jaywalkers? Drone executions for overdue library books? Seriously, if we are going to retain even the frail illusion of the rule of law, we must call this what it is: a murder, committed not by some foreign tyrant, but by our own executive. And by Donald Trump doing this in our name, with our taxpayer dollars, under our U.S. military banner, the stain is ours as well. And here's what needs to be done now. First, there should be an immediate independent investigation, one that does not take at face value the Trump administration's self-justifications. Second, there should be legal proceedings against those who, without regard for law or life, ordered or carried out this attack. Third, as an American people, we must insist, from every steely moral fiber of this nation, that no cause, however righteous we may imagine it, permits us to abandon our humanity. If the American government wishes to kill, let our government at least keep the pretense of justice and a constitutional republic. If we cannot abide by justice and we cannot follow the Constitution, Donald Trump should just come out and say so. He should say the Constitution is dead because I, Donald Trump, can do whatever I want. At least then, we will all be honest with each other about the authoritarian, tyrannical, and barbaric nation that America under Trump has become.